Welcome back, basketball fans or boxing fans. I keep getting mixed up now with three different channels. Boxing fans, to another great show with Sean on boxing. Obviously, you can tell by the title. Today, we're talking about Andre Ward and his consistent clout chasing of Canelo Alvarez. You know what they say, those who can't do, teach. Well, Andre Ward is the perfect example of that. Stay tuned, and we'll get to that in a minute. Welcome back, boxing fans. So I think it's because I'm watching so much basketball with Summer League and the WNBA All-Star Game and, of course, Olympic preparation. So basketball is just in my brain. But today we are talking about boxing. Obviously, we've all seen what Andre Ward recently, just yesterday or the day before, came out with. And this is nothing new. This is something he's consistently done. He literally went out of his way to shit on Canelo Alvarez, to fanboy Caleb Plant, who he helped prepare for a Canelo Alvarez fight. But now he comes on with stupid statements like this. Didn't you just support a prime champion who was fighting for undisputed? But now you come out with the most ridiculous type of comments, basically pushing the same bullshit you always do. Let's quickly take a peek and we can listen to that. Jay Breezy. Shout out to Jay Breezy. I saw his video. Let me say one more time. My computer needs more information. Andre Ward coming back to fight Canelo. Bivol. Jay Breezy. Of course, now when I try to find it, it's impossible. Let's try one more time. Andre Ward coming back to fight Canelo. Bivol. Not Bibble. Bivol. Bivol. You can go here and you just see all these stupid rants, right? That consistently has this dude fucking talking out of hand. 4 months ago, Andre Ward furious rant when hosts talk about Canelo. 4 years ago, Andre Ward to Canelo, you better stay away, right? Literally 4 years ago, he was doing this. 4 months ago, he was doing this. 2 months ago, Dante, wow, Canelo versus Andre Ward fight is now a reality, right? You know, literally, this is the extent that people will go to clout chase Canelo Alvarez, right? And this all comes down to jealousy when we talk about Andre Ward. This is a jealous man, a man who left the sport too early, left money on the table, and is jealous of other people who had a much more successful career. Even in taking losses, right? He actually was more successful. Why? Because this is what most fans know. To make money, you got to spend money. You got to risk something. Andre Ward never risked anything in his whole fucking career. And then the one time he did risk, even though he didn't really risk fighting Kovalev, the judges basically gave him a freebie in a fight that the majority of people who watched that fight felt that he lost that fight, right? Canelo Alvarez took risks. When he faced Floyd Mayweather, he took a risk fighting a pound-for-pound top fighter. But by taking a risk, it also built up his name. He did what Floyd Mayweather did when he fought Oscar De La Hoya. The difference is Floyd beat De La Hoya, even though that was a very competitive fight. Floyd scraped by on a split decision and then refused to rematch Oscar. Whereas in this fight, Floyd won a split decision against Canelo, even though everybody that watched the fight felt that Floyd won far more convincingly than that. And really, Canelo sort of screwed himself because of the way he went into that fight. Not being very aggressive, not trying to use his size, not trying to use any of the advantages he had, but trying to outbox the boxer. And we see how that played out. But that was a risk nonetheless. But let's see. Mars, what's up? Zaki, what's up? Wait, what weight class, 175, or can Ward get down to 168? See, that's, again, why most people feel Andre Ward is just clout chasing, trying to sell his book, trying to sell maybe his new podcast, whatever it is, with Andre Ward now, it's more about being a salesman. The reality is, just because we saw you in there working with Bud Crawford, that don't mean you're ready to fucking get back in the ring. Even though you talk about you wanting all that smoke. Come on. You didn't want that smoke when you walked away from a fucking Adonis Stevenson undisputed unification match, right? Where was all that fire then? Ward is diva looking for a payday. Yes, he is, Monte Carlo. I think he's joining Stephen John Jackson's podcast, All the Smoke. Well, that's what it is, right? That's what people are speculating. That really it's mostly just him doing what he does, being a salesman. He's going to consistently use Canelo Alvarez to try to sell his product, right? Because without Canelo Alvarez, nobody would really be paying attention to him. I don't really watch All That Smoke podcast because really watching an NBA player talk about boxing is kind of like watching a boxer talk about the NBA, right? I'll take Ward over Berlanga and Eubanks. You can say that, Zaki, but Andre Ward's 40 years old and hasn't fought in years. What's to say that he's going to look any better than Vosdick looked, right? And Vosdick wasn't as retired as long as fucking Andre Ward has been retired and is younger. If Ward's serious, he should cool out Benavides at 175. Ward is returning. Ward ain't returning. Get real. I mean, the only thing he would come back to is a potential Canelo Alvarez mega fight if he thought he could generate millions and millions and millions of dollars in that fight. And in that case, you can't really blame him. But at the same time, is Andre Ward such a big name that that fight would even generate that much money? Andre Ward's only pay-per-view fights of his career were the two Kovalev fights, both of which did terrible pay-per-view numbers. Terrible. So he's never been a fighter who sold. His style didn't sell. His fan base didn't sell. He wasn't marketable. He refused to go to England to fight what's-his-face in a rematch. He refused to go to Canada to become undisputed unification fighter at 168. He refused to go to Canada to fight Adonis Stevenson to become undisputed at 175. All these things he could have already did, right? The opportunities were there for him. Coming off of Kovalev, it was the highest point of his career. Many people on YouTube had him pound for pound number one, right? That was the time for him to market himself and make money. He was literally calling out Anthony Joshua at that time, talking about how he would beat Anthony Joshua in a heavyweight matchup, right? Once again, clout chasing somebody that obviously sold more than him. It's the same reason why he called out Golovkin, because him and Golovkin were doing the same thing. They were calling out the big name fighters to try to get a big money fight, right? Both of them were talking about Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Both of them were calling out Canelo. Both of them were calling out, obviously, Carl Froch, right? And at the time when Golovkin called out Froch, Andre Ward was semi-retired. So then he sort of came out acting like, well, you're calling out Froch. Why don't you call out me? Well, Carl Froch just sold out 80,000 Stadium in England, one of the biggest venues and biggest events in English history. You haven't fought in 2 fucking years, and even when you did fight, you couldn't fucking sell out anything in Oakland, right? So you're obviously not the kind of fighter I'm chasing. You're not the kind of fighter who's going to build my profile. So Golovkin did what he had to do, right? Got the Canelo Alvarez fight, got 3 fights out of it, made millions and millions of dollars, and now is kicking back, loving life in Kazakhstan, right? A millionaire. Andre the Nutcracker Ward wants a payday. If Ward come back and challenge Canelo, maybe the LDBC would stop crying about Ryan. It's funny how Ward opponents aren't labeled Eurobums, but GG and Canelo's are. See, that just shows you the hypocrisy coming from that fan base. Anything to dismiss and downplay somebody's opponents, right? We heard about all these Eurobums people are fighting, but Andre Ward's whole resume is based on Eurobums. And the one fighter that wasn't a Eurobum, he literally weight trained him and pulled him down a whole fucking weight class, right? Whereas he gets no criticism for that. When he was part of the Super 6 tournament, being a guy that was unknown One of the only two fighters in that competition who was never a world champion, him and, of course, Durrell, both up-and-coming American fighters, but neither had been world champions. Both were marginally contenders, right? At that point, neither of them had really proven anything. Andre Ward was the only fighter that didn't need to travel, right? He could stay in the U.S. for all his fights, whereas every other fighter, all 5, 6, and 7, it ended up being, everybody else had to travel for their fights. But he was allowed to have home court advantage for every matchup he had. But people, once again, they don't want to be fair. They don't want to be consistent. They're happy to point fingers and criticize everybody for everything. But then Andre Ward gets a consistent pass. You will see JB come out with a video saying, you know, the racist YouTuber is once again attacking Andre Ward. No, Andre Ward brought this up himself. I'm not seeking Andre Ward. I'm not the one that's fucking going out and talking about him. He's literally the one that's using Canelo Alvarez to sell a book, to sell his new podcast, right? Always using Canelo Alvarez for clout. The epitome of clout chasing. Unironically, a blue raspberry, Kambosos versus Frank Martin. Who wins? Probably Frank Martin. AJ would have punished Ward, would have killed him. Ward didn't fight since 2017. Mars, to be fair, I thought Ward beat better European fighters than Canelo. What better European fighters did he beat? Outside of Carl Froch, what better European did he face? Arthur Abraham? Kessler? Who? What better Europeans did he face? Arthur Abraham and fucking Kessler are no better than Billy Joe Saunders or Callum Smith. If Ryan's banned from WBC, can he ever do a pro fight again? Well, he can, but probably won't be sanctioned by the WBC. Ward would outclass Canelo. Davon Williams, Andre Ward at this point of his career ain't motivated to fucking go 12 rounds with any elite boxer. He's doing what he does, clout chasing. And you acting as if a career 168, 175 pounder. He was a 175-pound Olympian, won a gold medal at light heavyweight in the Olympics. Went down in weight so he could use weight advantage to benefit him in the pros, like everyone does. And you're talking about him fighting a guy who came up at 147, right? It's the same as guys like you who tried to downplay Golovkin because of Ward, right? Andre Ward walked away from every big opportunity of his career. And Crawford will brutally knock out Canelo as well. I don't think he'll brutally knock him out. The only reason you saying that, Davon, is because you support only black fighters and probably discredit everybody else, have no respect for any other fighter in the sport of boxing. It's cool that you only support fighters like yourself, but it's kind of fucking ignorant. But, you know, from a guy like you, who would be surprised that you're ignorant? I'm not surprised. Anyone, please raise your hand. Who's surprised Devon is ignorant? Not me. I predicted that Bud Crawford would beat Canelo Alvarez. So coming on my channel, trying to race bait and be a fucking troll, how does that work? I already have a video on my channel saying that I think Bud Crawford will beat Canelo Alvarez. So, clown. I got 40-year-old GGG knocking out Ward right now. If they fought right now, that would be a fight worth talking about. Golovkin, Ward, both 40 years old, both coming out of hiatus. Obviously, Golovkin has fought more recently, but you know, nonetheless, Ward is naturally the bigger fighter, so there's some advantages here and there. But that's a fight that would make sense, right? Even though it's past its due date, but we've seen lots of fights in boxing history like that. When Azuma Nelson rematched, what's his face, the Australian guy I liked, Jeff Fennick, right? The third fight that they had. Both of those guys were well past their best, right? Well past their best. They capitalized on their fights with each other and how great they were. They capitalized on their name and how putting them together would obviously sell so they could get some money at the end of their career. So for Ward and Golovkin, it's similar to that. They might as well put that fight on a Jake Paul fucking card, because that's how serious it is. Ward knows that Canelo payday would make him more than he's made in his whole career. Ward's net worth is $3 million. That's true. That's a fact. Andre Ward didn't sell. Andre Ward did not get fucking mega rich as a boxer. He was no Floyd Mayweather. This was a guy who literally called out Floyd Mayweather when he was a 168-pound champion. He called out 147-pound fucking Floyd Mayweather, because even at that time he was clout chasing the money. Pull up to do Bronx, sissy. Oh my God, Devon, you're such a fucking tough guy. You're such a tough guy. How old are you? Fucking 14? Dude, if you're like trying to cause a fucking physical altercation over social media, what does that say about you as a man, or in your case, as a boy? Obviously, no man would fucking make such a stupid fucking statement, but okay. Kelbrook, Amir Khan, past due date too. Well, yeah, unfortunately, that fight was well past its best as well, which didn't make sense. They could have made even more money, and I don't think they would have cost themselves any money if they would have done that fight earlier, to be fair. Richard Sampson says, in the amateurs, most fighters fight a higher weight fight. I said that, Richard. I said most guys go down into the pros and do the exact same thing. So I'm not hating on Ward. It's just, that's the pro game, right? You use your size advantage as much as you can. Accusing Ward of being a weight bully at 168 is false. I never accused him of that. That's your interpretation, because literally I said, like everybody else does. That was the end of my statement. Why did you fail to understand the whole sentence? Because you're too busy looking for a fucking reason to get into something. The irony is Golovkin won the middleweight Olympic. He didn't fight at 168 and go down in weight. Fennec ducked black fighters. Black American God, FBA. You don't even know who Jeff Fennec is. Fucking, I just said Azuma Nelson. Azuma Nelson was a fucking black fighter, a fucking Hall of Famer, you dumb fucking idiot, who fought fucking one of the best Mexican fighters in history. But you probably don't even know who that is. You're all just intimidated and envious of FBA fighters. Ha ha ha. What are you talking about? Like, Devon, you're coming here making this a black and white issue, but it has nothing to do with race, right? If Andre Ward was garbage, you probably wouldn't even identify him as black. You'd identify him as white because he's mixed, right? The only reason you're using this as a race argument is because that's what you do everywhere you go. You feel so self-conscious about who you are as an individual that you need to challenge people to physical altercations on social media and make stupid statements about race because, unfortunately, you don't feel very confident as a man. And that's unfortunate for you. There are people you can call, Devon. Should I get you a number? Or can you fucking use Google? You literally said Ward went down to 168, bro, to be the bigger man. Yeah, Richard. And I said, like everybody else does. Come on, buddy. Listen to the whole statement. Salute, brothers. Laugh out loud. Jeff Fennec was a beast. Jeff Fennec was a great fighter. Not the most technically brilliant fighter, but had a very good career. His trilogies with fucking Azuma Nelson are legendary, right? Azuma Nelson, Hall of Famer. Jeff Fennec, Hall of Famer. Who's one of Mike Tyson's favorite fighters? Jeff Fennec, right? But I know, because he's white, obviously he's got to be garbage, and you got to abduct all the black fighters, because at those small weight classes, there's so many great black fighters. Devon and FBA are John Boxing and Damien burner accounts. Probably. Definitely fucking Damien. Okay, like I'm posed to believe that a brother's name Azuma. Like, this dude is fucking stupider than his fucking name. Google it, you dumb fuck. Azuma Nelson was a fucking African fighter, a legend, a Hall of Famer, the professor. He fought Pernell Whitaker. Like, see, guys like you come here and try to make everything racial, but expose that you really don't know fucking anything about boxing. Literally, right? This video is not hating on Andre Ward because it's black. It's hating on Andre Ward because he's doing what I just proved he's been doing for fucking years now. Clout chasing off of Canelo Alvarez because he's jealous because Canelo Alvarez is so much fucking richer than he is. Canelo Alvarez is getting close to fucking pushing that 1 billion thing, close to becoming a billionaire. Whereas Andre Ward would be lucky if he's got $10 million in his account. Whereas for you and me, that's fucking great. I could only hope I had as much money as Andre Ward. But for a guy like him, who feels so entitled, he feels because he's a black American fighter, who was undefeated, who, was pound for pound a top fighter, that he should be rich. But unfortunately, that's not how boxing goes. You only make as much as you can fucking sell. And unfortunately, he did not sell. And that's straight out of the mouth of Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather clowned him for fucking not being able to sell. You, sir, aren't making any sense. Where do you have Ward ranked all time at super middleweight? Super middleweight? I'd have to put some work into it, but he's definitely top 5, right? But unfortunately, he walked away from doing things he should have done, like beat Canadian fighter Boutte, who's not really a Canadian fighter, but okay, to become undisputed at 168. Going to England to rematch Carl Froch. Those were 2 fights that he fucking had to do, but he didn't, right? There's no other fights that he should have really done, but those 2 fights he definitely should have done. He also could have fought Adonis Stevenson at 168. The reason Adonis Stevenson moved up to 175 is because Andre Ward ducked him at that weight class. The race baiters don't know who the professor is. I know. That's the irony. These guys are all over social media, trolling everybody, yet all they do is fucking parrot what they hear from the LDBC, from the Dante's Boxing Nations, from fucking the egos. Yet then they come on Boxing Talk like this and expose how ignorant they truly are. That you don't know who fucking Azuma Nelson is. Let's just help this brother out, because you can't be stupid for your whole life. At a certain point in your life, you gotta fucking do something. Ghana, the professor, 38-6-2, only stopped once in his career. Currently 66 years old. God damn, I'm getting old. Let's look. Obviously, he stayed fighting way too late. Fought Jeff Fennick when he was too old. Jesse James Leah, Gennaro Hernandez. Gennaro Hernandez's last big victory before getting stopped by Floyd Mayweather. Beat Jesse James Leah, beat Gabriel Ruiz, lost to Leah, had a draw with Leah, beat Ruiz, beat Calvin Grove, beat Jeff Fennick, had a draw with Jeff Fennick, beat Juan Laporte, lost to Pernell Whitaker in a fight where he tried to get the rematch and Pernell Whitaker literally ducked him. We can go back further and see where he made his original name, because this guy doesn't know who, the best Mexican fighter of all time is. Fought Wilfredo Gomez, 41-1-1, stopped him in 11 rounds. Wilfredo Gomez, his only loss before that was to a superstar. Oh, there he is. Salvador Sanchez, retired 44-1-1, 32 KOs, never stopped. His one loss was really just bullshit anyways, right? A split decision fight to Antonio Becerra for the Mexican bantamweight title, right? This is the guy that beat Azuma Nelson in his last professional fight when Azuma Nelson was 13-0. And Azuma went on to have a great career after that. That's who Azuma Nelson is. So you're welcome. Super chat would be kindly appreciated for schooling you. Andre Ward, a dog, one of the most ducked fighters of all time. One of the most duck fighters of all time. Black American God FBA, you just proved you don't really know fucking shit about boxing anyway. So if Andre Ward is one of the most ducked fighters of all time, who ducked him? Can you name 3 fighters that ducked Andre Ward? Tyson look up to Jack Dempsey too. That must piss off Donovan. Ward was better resume at 168 than Canelo, but Canelo is still ranked higher than Ward at 168 because of the undisputed title. Well, of course, Ward should have a better resume. He was a career 168-pound fighter. This is Canelo's 4th weight class. Javier Avila says, didn't he retire when Bivol and Beterbiev was on the come up? I think Bivol was his mandatory. Facts, Javier. He could have fought Adonis Stevenson for undisputed at 175, which would have been a huge fight, the biggest fight of his career. But he chose to not fight him, and then his mandatory was up-and-coming Dmitry Bivol, who he also chose not to fight and chose to retire instead, and then continued to spend the rest of his career clout chasing Canelo Alvarez. Ward ducked Adonis like Loma ducked Tank. No, Roger Burns. See, you say that because you just don't know fucking shit about boxing. He beat Mexicans and white boys. So what? Calvin Groves was, who are you talking about? Azuma Nelson? First of all, you were hating on Jeff Fennick, the white boy, saying he never fought black guys. I just proved he fought a Hall of Famer in Azuma Nelson, who fought Pernell Whitaker, Calvin Groves, and other black American fighters. I ain't impressed. Of course you ain't impressed because you're fucking ignorant. You already fucking proved that. Dumb and ignorant. Literally, you make your mom proud. Hopefully she didn't spend a fucking for your university education because that would have been money fucking wasted. She might as well just flush that money down the toilet. Salvador Sanchez is the most talented Mexican fighter of all time, in my opinion. Me too, Zaki. Me too. It's a shame, like Marciano, that he ended up getting killed in a car crash. You looking real casual. No one ducked Ward, and I'm a Ward fan. That's what I'm saying. Who ducked fucking Ward? People say Golovkin ducked Ward. Ward was a 175-pound fighter after he came out of his retirement. And so a 160-pound unified champion ducked him. So then Floyd Mayweather ducked him too, because he called out Floyd when Floyd was the 147-pound champion. Like, what do you mean? Who fucking ducked Andre Ward? Golovkin, Canelo, and Beterbiev ducked Ward. How the fuck did Canelo Alvarez, who when Ward came back was a 154-pound fighter basically, duck a light heavyweight? And Beterbiev, fuck son, the only guy Beterbiev ducked was fucking Kovalev, and that's a fact. But that's because of the PBC. They didn't want him to fight Kovalev as a mandatory because then his purse would be limited. So they wanted it to be done not as a mandatory so that they could then negotiate for a larger purse. And then they ended up getting hurt and fucking, became irrelevant for a few years. Beterbiev ducked Ward. I know. People will say anything. That's the problem when you follow these channels on YouTube. They fucking literally make their names from fucking saying anything. And dudes like this literally listen to them and believe it and then echo it on other people's channels, making them look fucking downright stupid. I was on one channel yesterday, long-haired brother with glasses who calls himself the Professor, who said that Tank Davis never ducked Lomachenko because they were never champions at the same time. And then he was calling people emotional who were perpetuating that myth that Tank Davis ducked Lomachenko for unification. Just like another channel that was talking on Ness's show was talking about how Lomachenko ducked Tevin Farmer. Tank Davis never ducked Lomachenko. And it was like, no. Tank Davis ducked Tevin Farmer. Tevin Farmer was never a champion when Vasily Lomachenko was a champion. Where are we? I'd favor Iran Barkley to beat Ward. Wonder if American blacks know who that is. Of course, these guys don't know who fucking Iran Barkley is. I think Ward would beat Barkley, but Barkley was a real big fucking big fighter, long, hard puncher. Paez KO'd Calvin Grove, a Mexican. I never went to college. I'm a real one. Yeah, a real fucking idiot, apparently. Fanon, yeah, did Russia, sub Newton, sub technique. That Loma stuff is confusing. Why negotiate only to pull out till supposedly 2025? Obviously, Zach, he didn't like what he was hearing when he went to the negotiation because they'd been negotiating for months. He actually flew from the Ukraine to America to fucking do what? Sign the fucking contract. And on the eve of him doing that, Tank Davis came out with that $40 million guarantee. So you can only imagine what other stuff was going on in the negotiation table, where all of a sudden a guy flies from the Ukraine to America to sign a contract to only then say, sorry, I'm not really interested. I'm going to take the rest of the year off, right? Because in his perspective, fuck you. I don't need you. You need me. I ain't interested in your money, so you can't use that to try to fucking pull me in using fucking, I don't know, is he trying to put rehydration clauses on Lomachenko? That Lomachenko couldn't come in more than 135 pounds? Ward, a Hall of Famer, giving his opinion on Canelo is clout chasing. Joseph, Canelo Alvarez is a fucking Hall of Famer. It's not an opinion when it's all based on hate. Like, if I could find What's-His-Face's channel, I would listen to the quote. Let's see. Why fucking won't this stupid fucking... Okay, here. We'll just listen to on my phone because I already got it geared up. So here we go. This is what Andre Ward said. Listen, and then we'll discuss why. This has nothing to do with him being a Hall of Famer. Just because you're a Hall of Famer doesn't mean you fucking aren't clout chasing somebody that you're jealous of.
It's a little website called boxrec.com. And if you know what you're looking at, you can look at them, the opponents that he fought, right? And people say, he fought this name, he fought that name. Where did he fight that name when he fought him? He 32. He coming off 2 losses. He 35. Kovalev, when he fought Kovalev was cooked. He wasn't the crusher. He wasn't the undefeated guy. He had lost that. That was Andre Ward talking about.
So you just heard that. Basically trying to discredit Canelo Alvarez's resume. Whereas you could say the same fucking bullshit about him. When he beat Kovalev, Kovalev was cooked. Right? Everyone knew Kovalev had fucking drinking problems. He split with his trainer because of these issues, right? He had all kinds of fucking issues going on. So what are you talking about? You know, this was a guy that fucking is trying to downplay what Canelo Alvarez accomplished. Yet Canelo Alvarez was in his 4th weight division when he fought Kovalev. His 4th. He was the much smaller fighter facing the much taller, longer, hard puncher in Kovalev, which basically gave Bivol the blueprint on how to beat him. I predicted that Kovalev would outbox and beat Canelo in that fight, and it was almost fucking come true until, of course, he caught him and knocked him out. Because that's all Canelo could literally do to Kovalev. Because Kovalev is longer and a better boxer, has a great jab, and was able to control distance with his jab. Where are we? Sean, I like you, but come on. What are you talking about, man? Joseph, when you fucking have been saying the same thing for the last 4 fucking years, it shows you're nothing but a hater. And I would say the same thing about Juan Manuel Marquez. So this has nothing to do with color of fucking somebody's skin. Juan Manuel Marquez is just as big of a fucking clout chaser as Andre Ward. The only difference is he ain't trying to sell something and market something like Andre Ward is. Andre Ward's trying to sell his book. Andre Ward's trying to sell his new podcast. Andre Ward's trying to sell fucking something all the time. Juan Manuel Marquez, first of all, he's talking in Spanish, so I have no idea what he's fucking saying. And as far as I know, he's not trying to use Canelo Alvarez's name to fucking make money. If you ask me, Loma didn't want to basically take a dive. Well, who knows what the truth is? The point is, Tank needs Lomachenko. Lomachenko don't need fucking Tank Davis. So at the end of the day, Loma could retire tomorrow. It's fine. He will be also a Hall of Famer who then can shit on Tank Davis's resume and then see what Joseph has to say about that. right? Let's keep the same energy, Joseph. Tank, just like his daddy Floyd, are the biggest divas in boxing. Yeah, that's true. 40 million. Damn, tell me you don't really want to fight without saying it. Exactly. And it's not about the 40 million because chances are he was going to make more than 40 million for the fight anyway. But it's the fact that he wanted a guaranteed 40 million, upfront 40 million. He'd been fighting with Floyd Mayweather in the PBC his whole career. I think probably the highest guarantee he's ever been given was probably 3 million, maybe $4 million. That's literally the highest guarantee. For the fucking Ryan Garcia fight, he probably wasn't guaranteed more than $5 million for that fight. Now he's doing what Pacquiao did, right? When Pacquiao saying, guarantee me 20 million and I'll fight you. Guarantee me 20 million and I'll fight you, right? But Pacquiao's Pacquiao, right? We know he's only coming back to get a payday. Tank Davis is trying to build his legacy, is he? But this ain't about Tank. This is about Andre Ward. Ward was a Loma beat, or Word was Loma beat on Tevin Farmer in sparring. Man, that would be no surprise at all. Come on, Tevin Farmer, he can't carry fucking Lomachenko's jockstrap. And when fucking Tank Davis ducked him, we all said, fuck, man, you getting dick rolled by fucking the PBC hard, dude. You could have made a career high payday to become unified against that fucking dude who you would knock out in fucking 3 rounds. But you chose not to fucking fight on DAZN with Eddie Hearn to get a career high payday, only to continue to fucking do nothing. Probably a bunch of stipulations on the gloves, ring size, appointing judges, etc. Probably. Ward looks extremely pathetic anytime he clout chases Canelo. Fact, Stringer. Because as I showed you right there, 4 years ago, he was saying the same fucking thing. 4 years ago. I mean, Ward literally was just sparring and preparing Caleb fucking Plant to unify for undisputed against fucking Canelo Alvarez. Was Caleb Plant old and washed and shot? Was Billy Joe Saunders? Was Callum Smith? None of those fighters were fucking old when he did what Andre Ward never did at 168, become undisputed. And Canelo literally went out of his comfort zone to do that. He literally crossed over to the PBC to get that final fight. He literally did something that he didn't need to do. Unfortunately, Andre Ward's career never grew bigger because he never fucking did that. He was always a diva, always using diva tactics his whole career, even before he was fucking legitimate. And now because he never got love and money, now he's a bitter motherfucker. That's it. Thoughts on John Boxing calling Loma a coward when Tank Davis said 5 years ago, why would I fight him now? I can wait till he's older. Well, the reality is John Boxing is a liar and full of shit. Because in his video, he also fucking broke it down that Tank Davis never fucking ducked Lomachenko. But yet he made multiple videos defending Tank Davis ducking Lomachenko about how young he was. He's so young. He's young. He's young. Why does he need to do this? He's too young. This is the same thing these fucking Deontay Wilder dudes were fucking pushing when he became a heavyweight champion. I don't need to fight Klitschko. He's young. He's young. He doesn't need to fight. He doesn't need to unify. He doesn't need to fight real fighters. Right? These guys expose their fucking selves every time they open their fucking mouths because they're hypocrites and they have a blatant double standard. You're happy to allow Tank Davis to not fight any legitimate fighters until he's 30 fucking years old. But literally, he makes videos shitting on Lomachenko because, at 25 years old, he became pro. Yeah, and at 25 years old, 26 years old, his best win against Gary Russell is better than any fucking win on Tank Davis's resume. At 26, his fucking first year as a pro. First, second, early in his career. Ward didn't even win the Kovalev fight. He lost the first fight. He lost. And like Golovkin, like Lomachenko, he was fucking robbed by American fucking judges. Probably Lomachenko went there and said, I don't want 3 American judges in Vegas. And that was probably the tipping point because everyone knows only in America to quote Don King, only in America will a fucking European blatantly get robbed in front of everybody, and we'll say fucking it's fair and square because we'll make sure there's 3 American judges scoring the fight. Whereas you can travel around the world and you will never find that happen. We're going to get the Olympics in Paris coming up. You won't see 3 fucking judges from any country in any fight, right? It doesn't happen, but only in America. How old was Golovkin during the 3rd Canelo fight? Ward ain't lying. Joseph, he'd already fucking beat Golovkin before that. What are you talking about? That was more about Golovkin wanting to fucking get a final payday than it has anything to do with fucking Canelo Alvarez. How are we going to hate on Canelo for fighting a Hall of Famer in a trilogy fight that did over 1 million pay-per-view buys? Because Golovkin was older. It's a 3rd fucking fight. Canelo's older too. Canelo fought undefeated Austin Trout coming off of Cotto win. Exactly. And that's the thing that I was going to pull up again, Mars. See, you know boxing and follow boxing, unlike many of these narrative-driven fucking guys in the chat. That was a prime fucking Austin Trout, a guy that literally beat a Hall of Famer in Miguel Cotto in the previous fight. All these dudes that fucking hate on Canelo were picking Trout to beat him, right? And still say to this day that Austin Trout beat Canelo in that fight, even though, no, he didn't. We had open scoring. We could fucking see exactly how the score was going on live in Memorex. And he also got dropped in that fight. And Canelo's fucking defense in that fight was fucking sublime. Sublime, right? Then he went on to fight fucking Floyd Mayweather. You're going to say Mayweather was old. Mayweather was pound for pound the #1 fighter in boxing. But we're going to try to discredit Canelo Alvarez for fighting him, even though Andre Ward, a 168-pound fighter, called out Floyd Mayweather. How does that fucking work? Besides Cotto, Trout didn't beat anybody. Joseph, that's because he lost to Canelo and then went on to fight all the best fighters at 154 pounds. He wasn't fucking fighting bums. He was literally fighting Charlo, Lara. He fucking literally fought Lara after losing to Canelo Alvarez. Lara, who most people that actually know boxing identified as the best 154-pounder during that whole Charlo, Andrade, Lara era, when none of those champions would fight each other. You know why? Because they were all ducking fucking Arizlandi Lara. Because the 2 fucking Charlos and Andrade knew that if they fucking fought Lara, he'd fucking embarrass them. So what did they do? Went on to do nothing their whole careers and continue to fucking clout chase like Andre Ward. Did Russia bomb Loma's hotel in the Ukraine? I did hear that that's true. Yeah. Kovalev beat Ward the first time. 6 years ago, Floyd verbatim said, Tank, Loma is getting old, so don't rush to fight him. Take your time. Well, Tank took his advice. Yeah, we know that. We fucking use that quote all the time. This SOG hate is sickening. Diesel, what hate? So you think it's okay for Ward to hate on Canelo, but it's wrong for me to point out that he's only doing this to fucking make money off of Canelo's name. How is that hate? That's exactly what he's doing. He literally fucking releases a book, goes on the talk show circuit, and instead of even talking about the book, mostly talks about Canelo Alvarez. Literally fucking using Canelo Alvarez to fucking make money off of a book no one gives a shit about. Andre Ward's life ain't that fucking interesting. I mean, this is a boxer who was fucking, as neutral as any fucking boxer in boxing history. Never did anything exciting, never did anything terrible, right? His whole career was fucking like that. Vanilla. This is the most vanilla black guy outside of fucking Will Smith, right? He didn't have anything in his book that fucking anyone wants to read about. He's like the Cosby Show. without the comedy, right? Like, there's no reason to read his book. It's only there to fucking build up his ego and his image and to fucking put some money in his pocket. That's a fact. JB is low key happy Loma ain't facing Tank. Sean, are dingoes safe as pets? You always ask the stupid fucking question, man. Tank didn't have to duck Loma. Floyd did it for him. Videos all over YouTube. Yep. I'm a huge Ward fan, but I can admit Kovalev beat Ward in the first fight actually pretty easy. Pretty fucking easy. That was the most dominant fucking performance anyone's ever seen against Andre Ward. Yet Andre Ward still won the fight. Explain fucking that. Andre Ward never been in a fight. Yes, he's been in fights where he got dropped, but never in fights where he was dominated, where fucking literally Kovalev was more successful in every fucking facet of the game. GG was 36, the first Nalo fight. Nalo waited GG out. That's true. I'm not going to say that's not true. It is true. He literally dropped his fucking WBC title to fucking duck a Golovkin fight. And so you got one fight where he aged out Golovkin, and we're going to use that as a way to fucking dismiss his whole fucking career. Whereas you can fucking go to Pernell Whitaker's resume. Fucking Floyd Mayweather, his best fucking win on his resume was a guy I just mentioned that beat Azuma Nelson in Azuma Nelson's last fight. So that win shouldn't count for him because he beat an old fucking Azuma Nelson who literally retired. Floyd fought the same guy, and that guy retired after Floyd beat him. So that means that victory don't mean shit because Floyd only fucking cherry-picked an old fighter who fucking literally retired afterwards. You know, we can use that argument fucking both ways. I'm sure you could even look at fucking Andre Ward's resume and find that he did that. I mean, we know he fought a fucking old, broken down version of Kovalev. Kovalev was drinking. He fucking broke up with his trainer because of his unprofessional behavior. This stuff was all well fucking scripted well before the Andre Ward fight happened. Floyd wasn't old when Canelo fought him. Floyd was old. He was like 36. But 36, see, people got to understand styles. Certain styles age well. Other styles don't. Roy Jones' style didn't age well. Floyd Mayweather style aged really well. Floyd was still able to do what he does all the time, even at 36 years of age. Stupid comment when GG was in his prime. Canelo was campaigning at 154. You should do more research. Well, it's true, but he did duck Golovkin. He dropped his title. Richard waited to move up. No fighter has to come up. I feel like Ward has a racial issue. He just seems so racially biased to me. I think so. He's just the typical black American guy, right? That thinks the whole country hates him and is against him. I'm not American, but this is my outside perspective from what I see, and feels entitled because of history, which has no bearing on fucking reality today, right? I grew up in Toronto. All the dudes I hung out with were Jamaican. So their existence as black men were very different, right? They came from the islands. They moved to fucking Canada. It's a very different scenario. So you can't really use my experience with these guys. But I have relatives that are black American, military kids that spent their whole careers in the military. And this is just my perspective. I may be wrong, but Andre Ward has that same thing we see consistently, right? I played basketball until university, and the brothers never respected fucking non-black players. You had to prove it. If you proved it, you proved it. But they wouldn't fucking give you any respect just based on the color of your skin. And I ain't saying that's a big deal. It's ironic because if you're on the other side, being a white guy, and you saw some big, tall black guy walk in the court, you'd give him respect even before you even knew he played. And a lot of times it was completely fucking opposite. That dude didn't even know how to dribble a ball. But, it's just perspective. White Americans give Black Americans a lot more respect than Black Americans give white Americans. That's just a fact. Just look at the way Katie fucking uh, uh, Taylor is being treated in the WNBA. It's not like she's the first white player that's ever fucking played. There's been fucking a lot. Where are we? Richard moved up when he was convenient. They eventually fought, and Gigi was, in my opinion, yeah, but to be real, people were all predicting Golovkin would beat Canelo. The question was, how badly would he beat Canelo? And when he dropped his titles, that only clarified and solidified most people's belief. When he ended up getting that fucking terrible decision, at that point, people felt that Golovkin was already old because his Danny Jacobs fight, he didn't look fucking nearly as explosive as he had previously. Canelo became undisputed at 168. Why are fans so mad at Canelo? I don't know why fans are mad, except that he's not a Black American. No non-Black American fighter can get credit in boxing. This conversation goes back decades when they used to mock the whole, Marciano versus Joe Louis fucking conversation, right? You saw it. Eddie Murphy fucking made fun of it, right? That shows you how long this perspective went back. Eddie Murphy, on one of his first shows, was that a Saturday Night skit? Fucking did that whole barbershop fucking conversation where literally they're fucking shitting on Marciano, saying Joe Louis was 173, right? This has always been a perspective from Black America towards white America. It's just true. And if you're a Black American, you know it's true. You can say, I'm being racist. Why am I being racist for calling out a real fucking situation? We've seen it through fucking the media. We've seen it through social media. We see it fucking through basketball and boxing. We see it consistently. Whereas Tiger Woods crossed over into golf as a Black American, and outside of Fuzzy Zeller incident, fucking became the biggest superstar in the sport, right? Made $1 billion fucking selling fucking Nike gear, right? Never had we ever seen anyone be as successful in golf before. And Jack Nicholson and Arnie Palmer, both were successful, both sold paraphernalia, both had successful brands. But in comparison to Tiger Woods, fucking Christ, get real. I mean, come on. Right, Richard, now because we want better Benavidez versus Nalo is going to give us Eubanks. Well, Zaki, the truth is we've seen a whole history of you wanting Canelo to fight somebody and then just picking a new fucking opponent afterwards. And we know this is no different. It's exactly the same as Floyd Mayweather. This is exactly what people did to Floyd Mayweather. This is exactly what people are now doing to Canelo Alvarez. It's identical. He could fucking knock out David Benavidez, and then you're going to fucking be talking about David Morrell, fucking this guy and that guy. There's always going to be somebody new. Ward fans mad at Canelo because he went undisputed and Ward didn't. Let's highlight that Ward had a few easy fights moving to 175, didn't fight Kovalev in his first fight at that weight. No, had 3 fights before fighting Kovalev. Ward and Bradley are both terrible commentators. Canelo made up at 155 catch weight to age out Golovkin. That's true. Machado, I can agree with that. I've witnessed it. Canelo is the A side. He can do what he wants. He's ducking Benavidez, and there's nothing we can do about it. Because in truth, it ain't that big of a fight. He could have other fights that are just as big, right? It's the same scenario we find ourselves in with Tank Davis. Tank Davis can fight, these level of opponents consistently to do pay-per-views. Yet the irony is people are okay with Tank Davis doing it. Yet this is a guy who hasn't fucking come close to what Canelo Alvarez has done in his career. And the way he's moving, probably never will. Sean, I have a feeling Team USA basketball going to get upset in the Olympics. That would be funny as hell. Sean and chat, what's up, pound for pound king? Caitlin Clark was mean. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, Caitlin Clark. Sorry. Yes. Moore is just using fighters' names in interviews to push his cooking book. Exactly. Richard, he is the A side and he can do what he wants. Shake my head. I hate that logic. Yeah, but Zachy, what you got to understand is there's different fucking points in people's career. You got guys like Tank Davis, Shakur Stevens, Devin Haney, Boots Ennis, right? David Benavidez, these dudes that haven't done fucking shit yet. They haven't built a legacy. They're in the process of building a legacy. If they really wanted to build a legacy, they'd be fighting each other and building their legacy. But most of them are choosing to cherry pick potential opponents to fucking become stars the easy way by using fighters who've already done the hard work and already fucking acquired all of this respect and accomplishments. And they're hoping just to jump on top of that based on one fight. You know, people could say that's what Floyd Mayweather did when he fought Oscar De La Hoya. But the difference is, no, he didn't. He'd won against a lot of really good fighters before finally getting that breakout opportunity, right? You look at guys like B-Hop, Hagler, Golovkin, all middleweights. These guys worked their whole careers to get big names and become superstars. Not until the end of their careers, when they were more vulnerable, did these big name opponents choose to challenge them, right? It always happens. So at that point, Canelo's kind of at the point where I'm not going to be used so you can build your name off of me. Go fucking build your name. When you got a name, then I'll fucking come looking for you. But at this point, fuck you. Like literally, David Benavidez just moved up to 175, was guaranteed an opportunity to fight Bivol Beterbiev winner, fucking fought a legitimate 175-pound fighter who could take his power, and now he's scurrying back down to 168 with his tail between his legs. And fucking guys like you are acting like somehow he's fucking legitimate, he deserves so much. This was a dude that blatantly ducked unification with Caleb Plant for fucking years. Didn't fight Zurdo Ramirez, didn't fight anybody. Not until 2023, when he finally fucking put two good names on his resume, one of whom was Caleb Plant, that Canelo already all fucking beat. But Canelo gets zero credit, but Benavidez somehow is the superstar, the Mexican monster, based on doing what Canelo already had done previously. Women's basketball is too weak to watch. They're horrible players. But it's getting better. The All-Star game was pretty good. That player from Dallas, she's fucking good, man. She plays like a dude. She got fucking a great jump back, a step back jump shot. She's really good. Caitlin Clark is a great player. Her combination with her team is very much like Stockton Malone, even though she came in as a big shooter and scorer. Probably she's going to be more of a Sue Bird in the WNBA. And then next year you got fucking Juju Watkins from USC. She looks special. And then, of course, the girl from UConn, who is good looking, but also a good player. Your comprehension is embarrassing. Something in traction, white girls blistering, fast 67, the drugs, all that, blacks and athletes running fast has been on drugs, so there's baseline are even. Bergovides has gotten 3-week extensions for the WBC and hasn't made a decision yet. Well, that's the thing. He could literally push for that fight, and he still hasn't. He still hasn't fucking forced the WBC to mandate it. Why do black dudes always slander Rocky Marciano? You think the guy banged their mama. Dude's been dead for a while, mind you. I know, but this just shows you that this is not something new. This is historic. When a non-black boxer does well, this is how black American sports fans, not all, but this is the perspective we hear, right? They're the loudest. You know, the squeaky wheel gets the fucking oil. And this is what we hear. So much so that fucking Eddie Murphy's making jokes about it in the fucking 80s, the 80s, 90s. I can't remember when that was, but that was decades ago when Eddie Murphy fucking made that skit. Decades ago. Tiger is embarrassing himself. He needs to retire. He ain't golfing good. That's fucking for sure. What was his excuse? He couldn't focus because on the plane ride, he was just watching the assassination attempt on Trump. and that like kept him up. Sean, since Loma fight seems off the table, who should Shakur sign with that best gets him the Tank fight? He should fucking just sign with whoever Tank Davis wants him to sign with, right? Whatever's going to make that fight happen, that's what Shakur should do. Smash the likes. Shakur is 27 and Tank is 29. Perfect time for these guys to fight. Perfect. Like, I understand people just want to sit here and slander Lomachenko because he's white, and that's why, right? But the reality of the situation is this is now what you should be pushing. Shakur Tank Davis. The same way people were pushing Spence and Crawford. The irony is we saw that. We had a whole selection of American YouTubers who literally were fucking downplaying that fight, making excuses why it shouldn't happen. Just like yesterday on my channel, we saw the same thing happening when people were literally coming out with excuses. Shakur is too boring. He needs to get a big win. Isaac Cruz is a bigger fight. He's got the Mexican audience, right? People call themselves boxing fans, but all they do is want to fucking cap and protect certain fighters. I'm a Black American, and my view is Black Americans have a massive racial bias towards their own benefits. It's only acceptable when they engage in that, but other races seemingly. That's the thing. I don't care if people have a racial bias. If Black guys want to support Black athletes, that's fucking a no-brainer. The problem is when people start calling everyone else racist for doing the exact same fucking thing. John Boxing literally comes out and says, Black Americans have only recently been supporting Black American athletes. And that's the stupidest fucking statement I've ever heard in my fucking life. Yet then you'll make a video talking about how Black American fans were murdered in the streets when a Black American boxer won a fight. That's dating back to the 20s and 30s and 40s. So that shows you that, yes, Black Americans have always supported Black American athletes fucking ever since there were Black American athletes, right? So it's fucking stupid. Mexicans support Mexicans, Black Americans support Black Americans, white Americans support white Americans. People get upset because they support Eastern Europeans. Eastern Europeans are more fucking like them than Black Americans are. Why do you care who they support, right? JB and other guys make it seem like people don't want Black Americans to support Black Americans. But it's like, what? What are you, fucking stupid? No one cares. The problem is when you go out of your way to build up a Black American fighter by fucking shitting on a non-Black American fighter and then act like I'm being fair. Like Andre Ward shitting on Canelo Alvarez to fucking make money on a new product that he's trying to sell. People shitting on a Nui to try to build up fucking whoever. You don't need to bring someone down to build somebody up. Actually, if you do the opposite, potentially it's only going to make your fighters look that much better. Because we know Black American boxers have been great, still are great, and have lots of great up-and-comers. Azuma Nelson, why am I saying that? Azuma Nelson, he's still stuck in my head. Now I got Azuma Nelson's name in my head. I can't fucking say. Who's the lightweight kid for ESPN? Oh my God. What's his name? Fucking Christ. Kid's great, right? You look at him, Boots Ennis, other fighters like Shushu Carrington. There's lots of great fighters coming down the pipe, man. Right? Instead of hating on other dudes, just support fucking those dudes, man. And at the end of the day, when they beat all these other guys that are getting hyped, you can sit back and go, yeah, those dudes were great, but my dude was better, right? And that's what it comes down to. You literally hurt yourself by spending 8 years shitting on Manny Pacquiao, only to then act like Floyd Mayweather beating Manny Pacquiao meant something, when literally you went out of your way to downplay Manny Pacquiao for almost a decade. The same thing Errol Spence fans did with Bud Crawford. The only difference is that Bud Crawford fucking exposed that narrative in a big way. Shakur should stay with Top Rank Aram, friends with Frank Warren, and we'll get the Branchik fight, Loma after. No, I know he should, but dude's young, emotional, got fucking these people in his corner that think everyone's against Black American fighters, even though Top Rank made you a 3-weight world champion. And because you can't get what you want fucking like that, all of a sudden you're fucking in your feelings. So it's fine. You can go look for a fucking better on the other side of the street. I mean, any of us that are old enough know the grass is not always fucking greener. These boxing fans are okay with Tank being A-side fighting weak opponents, but are upset Canelo making A-side decisions. Munguia is a better opponent than Frank Martin. Facts. I've been saying that, Richard. People were actually acting like that's not true. But Munguia was a world champion. Frank Martin fucking is what? A top 10 contender. Could he go on to maybe do more than Munguia? No, because he's 5 years fucking older than Munguia. So what's he going to do? Munguia already been a champion, and Munguia probably going to become a champion again. They want Shakur Tank career is about easy fights to sell knockouts to casuals. Why are they going to change their business model now and risk that? That's true. Tank is content to fight weak opponents, and Tank fans are happy with that. True. Yet these are the same fans that moan and groan about Canelo Alvarez. Look how many fans Devin lost after one loss. Fans jump ships easy, and Tank's team ain't going to put him at risk now. There's a reason why they waited Loma out. I'm a black American, and Rocky Marciano is my top 10. I'm a black American, and Marciano is top 10 of all time. You said before that Shakur and Tank don't want to fight each other. It seems to me Shakur wants to fight, though. Well, Shakur knows he needs it because he's never going to be fucking a star unless he gets to fight a star. Tank Davis already a star, so he don't really need Shakur. But as far as hardcore boxing fans are concerned, he does need a Shakur. He needs somebody like a Shakur. Abdullah Mason. There it is, right? What are you going to do? He's going to wait for Abdullah Mason to fucking get up there? He ain't going to fight Abdullah Mason. Tank Davis going to fight a prime fucking Abdullah Mason in, say, 2 years? No bueno. No fucking way. No chance. We pushed Loma to fight Tank for years. They didn't listen then and won't listen now with Shakur. No real risks for Tank. Facts. Sean, do you think we'll ever get two prime boxers fighting each other like De La Hoya and Trinidad? Well, we do get that all the time. We just had Bam fight Sonny Edwards. They were both prime, and it was a great fight. And a star was born. We had a Nui fight Stephen Fulton. Great fight. And a star was born. It's like the Olympics. Obviously, you're going to dudes representing your country, heritage. Exactly. Like, that's why I don't understand. When you talk about a sport like boxing, they think it's like the Olympics, that you're going to fucking cheer for your country. Maybe you would, but this ain't the Cold War anymore. This ain't fucking America versus Russia, right? Not like when I grew up, where everybody was ignorant and everyone hated fucking Eastern European because they were going to destroy the world, even though most likely it was going to be the States that destroyed the world. The only people that ever dropped a bomb were fucking the Americans. But when you talk about America, like John always uses America and compares it to Japan and other countries. You're talking about a country like Japan, Taiwan, that 99% of the population are Japanese or Taiwanese. Of course, they're going to support their own because their own is the only people they have to support. In America, you have a melting pot, even though I prefer the Canadian example, a salad bowl. So, and it's more of a salad bowl. Nobody wants a fucking, soup. We want a salad because heritage is important. What makes America and Canada great is that you have great restaurants, you have great culture because of the culture other countries bring to your country, making it rich and vibrant and exciting, colorful. You can go to restaurants fucking in Toronto and Vancouver, New York, and the fucking food is excellent. Whereas you can go to a country like England and the best thing about their food is fucking Indian, right? Because then maybe Turkish food now as well. But English food, nobody's interested. I went to Germany. Fuck, I can't say that I ate food that was exciting, right? Having multiculturalism in your country is great. And that's what makes America and Canada fucking great countries. The problem is, then you're going to say that Turkish people that immigrated to America shouldn't support a Turkish fucking athlete. Of course they're going to. Just like Mexican Americans are going to support Mexicans because they have the same fucking culture. I understand for Black Americans, it's a different scenario. Their culture was kind of robbed from them, being brought over as slaves. So they don't really know what their culture is. They don't really resonate with Africa. So it's a different story. It's a different scenario. If you look at blacks in Canada, they resent, they fucking still know their culture. Lennox Lewis, he knows he's Jamaican, right? He spends fucking most of his time in Jamaica because he's Jamaican Canadian Englishman, right? He's connected to his culture and his heritage. Unfortunately, Black Americans aren't. And maybe that's where a lot of this hostility and stuff comes from. And granted, Mike trades. Even if Canelo beats Benavidez, then they will say Canelo's scared of Crawford. Canelo's scared of black fighters. Stupid stuff they always say about Canelo. Exactly. Yes, Mars. Abdullah Mason. Thank you, guys. Let's get the likes to 20, guys. Come on, man. We don't have 20 likes yet. Terrible. Even the people hating on me should still have the thumb up button because you come here and I allow you to fucking say the most ridiculous shit that you want to say without blocking you. Abdullah has the Bud Crawford work mentality, no games. That kid is going to run boxing, in my opinion. Yeah, man. Him and Boots Ennis. Those dudes are just fucking in the gym constantly. Shushu Carrington as well. That's why I mentioned the three of them. Because these three dudes aren't all over social media, clout chasing and fucking tweeting. They're literally in the fucking gym working and putting in fucking work, right? You look at Boots. Boots is a monster. Shushu has gotten better and better and more exciting every fucking time you watch him fight. And Abdullah Mason's a kid. But the dude's got everything. Everything, right? If he was in the NBA, people would be saying he's the next Michael Jordan, right? That's what they'd be saying. Now you're going to say what? He's the next Sugar Ray Robinson? Because he ain't no fucking Roy Jones. So who could you say he's the next of? Sugar Ray Leonard? He don't got that style that Leonard had. Do you think Bivol has aged out Beterbiev? I think he has a bit, but it's also Top Rank who was in charge of Beterbiev as well. And Beterbiev, who injuries have consistently curtailed his career for a long time. When we mentioned that he was supposed to fight Kovalev, right? And he didn't want to take the guaranteed sanctioning body percentage. So PBC made him walk away from that fight. Terrible for you and me, but it is what it is. Abdullah said to me he's going to have problems against some with speed and power. But he got the reach, right? So based on having that reach, if he can fucking have a great jab, guys with speed and power are going to have a hard time getting close enough to be effective with him. I'm surprised the champs at 135 aren't beating down the weakest link, Baranchek, Store to unify. Well, that's what Zepeda's doing, right? Zepeda wants that belt. And so does Oscar De La Hoya. And granted, obviously, if Navarrete would have won, the fight would have been Lomachenko versus Navarrete for unification. But Lomachenko ain't going to fight his countryman, who he literally moved up in weight to allow this guy to get into the Olympic team. Injuries have aged out Beterbiev, yes. Sean, can you believe that I've heard some people say Bud Crawford and Boots Ennis can beat Beterbiev and Bivol because they black? Some people are crazy, delusional, and only pick with race. It's absurd. Well, we just saw it today on this live, right? If you want to believe that Boots and Abdullah Mason potentially are going to be better fighters than Bivol and Beterbiev, that's fine. They still got a whole career to do that. But okay, if based on eye test, you think they got the skill set that they're going to do more than Beterbiev and Bivol, I won't argue. We got to wait to see how it unfolds. But to say they can beat them, now it's just like, come on, man. Why are you just talking shit? Like, let's fucking focus on the people in our division. Let's focus on the fights we can make. I think Abdullah Mason versus Vargas will be a future mega fight. Could be, but Vargas is moving real fucking slow. The way they're moving Vargas compared to the way they're moving Mason, one dude is fucking getting close. One guy is fucking still years away. Years away. It's kind of like Virgil Ortiz and Boots Ennis. Boots Ennis was moved real slow. Virgil Ortiz was moved really well, right? Obviously, those health issues really curtailed his career. He was like really at a point where he's going to break out. But because of these health issues, now Boots Ennis has surpassed him and broken out before him. But prior to that, the level of competition, the performances, he was just fighting way better competition. Machado, we should have gotten the fight 7 years ago. It's been over marinated. A salad bowl will turn into a melting pot since through generations assimilation is inevitable. No, that's not true. Not true at all. I grew up in middle class Toronto with everyone around me being Greek, Italian, Irish, and English. English people still had the Queen on their wall. Irish people still ate potatoes. I don't know what else they do. Fucking Greek people fucking still were fucking Greek people. Italians were still fucking Italian. Still spoke Greek and Italian in their house all the time. Still ate traditional. Still wrapped their fucking sofas in plastic, right? These people ain't changing. Their kids, and this is not first generation. This is my friends were obviously third generation, born in Canada. Their mothers and fathers, for the most part, were also born into Canada. So there's always going to be some assimilation, right? But you look at now what's going on. You think what's going on in these countries is assimilation. There's still fucking strong areas in the States and Canada. Chinatown, Greek town. You know, these segments are still there. You go to New York, you have Little Italy, right? You know, of course, there's going to be a certain amount of assimilation. Kids are going to grow up to become doctors and lawyers and, you know, executives and businessmen. Obviously, they're not going to have houses and cover their sofas in plastic, right? But they're still going to fucking have their comfort food like their mama used to make. They're still going to celebrate holidays just like they did with their family. All those things, like Chinese culture, has really sort of taken over in North America. Chinese New Year, you know, think about, you're not as old as me, but when I was a kid, there was no fucking Chinese New Year in Canada, ever. Maybe if I went to Chinatown, downtown Toronto, maybe you would see it there, one section of the city. Now Chinatown is everywhere, throughout the NBA, fucking, you know, parades in the city, right? You know, it's more like those cultures are starting to take over the country. And that's why you have so much racism from certain white demographic of people. Because for them, you know, they feel like their culture is being taken over. Hey, Sean, I'm planning to visit Canada soon. You recommend Vancouver or Toronto? If you're going this time of year, Vancouver is beautiful. You can go to Victoria. You can go in the mountains, maybe even rent a car and drive into like the valley. Right now it's like peach season and they have festivals and fucking it's beautiful. Lakes, bikinis, you know, mountains, trees, flowers, tons of animals. Victoria is beautiful as well. You can go surfing on the coast, right? You know, Vancouver, cosmopolitan city, you know, very beautiful, pretty safe for the most part compared to most places. Toronto's great, but Toronto, you know, it's like going to New York, whereas Vancouver is like going to a better version of San Francisco with a lot of things near you that you can easily travel to before San Francisco turned into a shithole. Seattle, but Seattle's also sort of turned into a shithole. So, yeah, I don't know. Vancouver, I think, you know, parts of it might also be a shithole now as well because of that San Francisco, Seattle, Vancouver fucking drug shit that's just taking over. So stay out of the downtown city part, but for the most part, it should be Beautiful. Nice. Exactly. It's only a button. People act like they are selling their likes somewhere. LeBron is 39 and still the best American player, in my opinion. Black channels don't allow you to have an opposing opinion. They block you immediately. That's a fact. All around best American player, I have to give it to Jaylen Brown. Well, Jaylen's playing great. It's pathetic that he's not part of Team USA. Mars is crazy. Jaylen didn't get invited to play for Team USA, but Tatum and White did. Are you sold on Moten at all? Well, I can't be sold on him because he's still such a kid. And he looks good. He looks like he could be the new version of Tank Davis, but his upside looks limited. If he stays at, say, lightweight his whole career and dominates the division, he can go on to be a all-time Hall of Famer, but he's never going to be a guy who's jumping through weight classes. Yep, total bullshit. I think Nike had something to do with it. Mars, guys only ECF, MVP, and M, but no Olympic selection. I know. That's true fact, the plastic. Sean, what is Joseph Parker doing? He is still only 32, and which is crazy. I think it feels like he's been around for a while. He's going to get a big fight. He's consistently had big fight after big fight. You know he's going to be on one of these upcoming Saudi fight cards. It's just a matter of who. You better not duck me, son. Newton Boxing Promotions. Some guy last stream had mentioned Sylvie and how he associated with Jake Paul. You said you don't know Sylvie. He came upcoming 20-year-old boxer who fought on Jake's undercard. People say he'll be the champ. Yeah, I just saw. He's the guy that got knocked the fuck out, right? Yeah. Actually, he said that, and then I was watching the highlights of that card, and those fights looked like they were entertaining. But who's going to spend fucking pay-per-view numbers for that card, right? And this kid, an up-and-comer, right, got knocked the fuck out. See, if I was like John Boxing, I'd be making a video ridiculing this young black fighter who literally just got starched. But I didn't do that because I don't know who he is, and I'm not trying to fucking hate on him just because he's black. But if he would have won, I'm sure John would have made a video praising him as the next up-and-comer. Sylvia dominated the fight, but at the end, he was knocked the hell out by some guy no one ever heard of. Yeah, I saw the knockout. It was brutal. That guy, Mike Perry, who Jake fought, kept his hands in his pockets, was a total punching bag. That's true. Who's Mike Perry? The name sounds familiar, but yeah. The few times Perry slipped Jake's punches, he had success. I give Jake credit. Jake, you know, is who he is, but he's working hard, right? Working hard. You can't hate on a brother who's putting in the work, because that's what he's doing. He's putting in the work. He is the most successful American pay-per-view seller in the world. More successful than fucking Tank Davis. Oh, here we go. There's only 2 times you get these warnings in Taiwan. Earthquake or China attacking. Obviously, China's not attacking, but this is incoming missile rocket threat, seek immediate shelter, right? This is our practice, so if China does attack, we will be prepared for it. The streets right now will be fucking totally empty, so tanks and soldiers can easily move through, so hospital vehicles can easily help people that need it. And so literally right now for the next hour, the city is fucking a ghost town. Before I was playing basketball in the park, the police came and told me I needed to go home. I'm like, what? I'm not fucking in the street. I'm like, here, safe from the missiles, under the trees. I'm as safe in the park from missiles as I would be in my fucking apartment, right? But right now I can play basketball and there's nobody here because everybody else is at home. Perfect. I told you China was going to attack. If Andy Ruiz, the funny thing is if they did attack and we got this message, we wouldn't even fucking do anything because we wouldn't believe it was real. If Andy Ruiz beats Big Baby Miller, would you like to see him and Zhang or rematch with Parker? I think either fight is great. right? To be honest, like I think a rematch with Parker would be a good fight. Obviously, people feel that Ruiz beat Parker and should have been world champion. Uh, Jang versus him would be an interesting fight, right? It'd be an interesting fight. Dude, a boxer was knocked out cold with black face down. Huh? I'd like to see Jang. Oh, yesterday you fucking said you saw somebody get knocked out wearing black shorts. Your prediction came true. I'd like to see Jang fight Cabial. Cabial has a great gas tank. I'd like to see Cabial fight Andy Ruiz. Maybe that's the fight to make. Maybe fucking Cabial versus fucking Ruiz, right? Both guys volume punchers, right? Both guys not too big, similar size wise. Obviously, Andy Ruiz is a heavier fighter, but we will see. Apparently, he's going to be in good shape for this fight. Every fight on the card was miles better than Jake's. Perry is a successful bare knuckle boxer. He was Jake's opponent. Yeah, and got fired by what's his face. That should be Jake Paul's next fight. He should fight fucking what's his face. I know he's going to fight Mike Tyson, but most boxing fans don't really like that fight. But he should fight Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor versus Jake Paul. Or is Conor scared to fight him because Jake is just much bigger than him? Probably, right? Conor's more like a middleweight. Jake Paul's like a cruiserweight. Chavez, they could do that fight for sure. That's probably what they're looking for, right? He was on the undercard, but they said he looked bad against that opponent he was in with. Struggled, didn't look good. So, we know he's looking for a payday, but his dad is fucking shaking his head thinking, fuck, man, son, you're making me look bad again. Connor looks big in that new movie, though. That's true. He's steroided up, eh? With Jake Gyllenhaal. But that movie's an old movie. Have you guys seen the original? Roadhouse, Patrick Swayze. Patrick Swayze was the original actor. You should go check out the original. Probably got Victor Conte on the payroll. Probably. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. They were talking about all these Hollywood dudes that are fucking super buff and talking about how they're all on roids. And of course, that makes fucking sense. I mean, when you need to put on so much muscle mass and definition in such a short period of time, there's only one way to do that shit. I think Usyk is going to be a movie with The Rock. He is, yeah. The original, much better movie. Yeah, the original is much better. This one, it's fucking modern, right? What is Jake Opataya doing? Haven't heard much. Is Zerto possibly next? I don't know if Zerto is next. But on one of those Saudi Arabian cards, Zerto versus Opataya for unification, that would be a huge fight. They should put that on the undercard of Bivol Beterbiev. Jake's a piece of shit, in my opinion. He's fighting someone of Mike's age when Mike needs a wheelchair and walking stick. Mike looks great. Come on. Mike is older than me and fucking looks in way better shape than I do. Way better shape. And I don't need no fucking wheelchair. Or sometimes a walking stick. But no wheelchair. Machado, thanks. I'll check it out. The Smashing Machine. That's the worst fucking title ever. Terrible. Mike's still dangerous. He is dangerous. The question is, can he be dangerous for more than 3 rounds? What I heard was the contract is set up so that the longer Jake Paul goes with Mike Tyson, the more money Mike Tyson makes in the fight. And if the fight goes the distance, then Mike Tyson can make the most money available. If he knocks him out in the first round, he pretty much makes fucking zero. So if the contract is truly built like that, I agree with you. Jake Paul is a piece of shit. if that's the way you're fucking setting up a contract, because that makes you wonder what all the other contracts before look like. Do you think Mike will take a dive against Jake? No fucking way. There's already a documentary that's very good. Montreal, is it the city to visit in Canada? Montreal is great, but you know, come on, man. You're biased, Andre. You know, West Coast in the summer, it would be fucking great, man. West Coast in the summer would be great. But mind you, if you were going to pick between Toronto and Vancouver, I would say go to Montreal. Montreal and Quebec City. Quebec City's got a great sidewalk culture, you know, bars and restaurants on the sidewalk, lots of people outside enjoying the night, you know, drinking, hot fucking girls, French girls. If you're going by yourself and not with your girlfriend, French girls, you should maybe go to Montreal. I won't say they're easy, but they're easier than you'll find in Toronto and Vancouver. Montreal, obviously, it's got a lot of history as well, right? With the castle and everything else. So it's beautiful. But I always kind of think Montreal and Quebec City more in the winter. I know it's fucking freezing cold, but when you get like ice hotels, you can skate down the fucking river, you know, and everything else. It just seems, you know, you have the festival and everything else. It just seems much more nice. Wintertime. Have you been checking out Bronny James' last couple games? Not terrible. Yeah. People fucking. Bronny James ain't going to do shit in the NBA. Given how Perry was able to walk Jake down with no defense at all, Mike Tyson will be able to get to the inside and mess him up. Problem is the chin is shot. How's the nightlife in Taiwan? Well, if you go to Taipei, the nightlife is good. Lots of bars, walking areas at night with stuff, you know, bars and restaurants as well. It's not quite Montreal, you know, and there's better cities, obviously, in Asia. But Taipei is definitely the best city for nightlife. And the girls are sexy as hell. And there's a lot more easy girls in Taipei because, you know, just the kind of girls that stay in the cities down south are more like conservative home girls that stay close to their family. The girls that go to Taipei, more adventurous, more outgoing, you know. Lakers made $50 million off of Bronny's jerseys in the first couple of days, so great financial investment. People are fucking stupid. You could get those fucking jerseys for $1.50 at the Goodwill fucking next year. Literally. People dumb as fuck. I would not spend $2.50 for a Bronny James fucking jersey. Sean, I'm about to break down why boxing is failing, and in the next 2 years, boxing will surge again to the top. Well, boxing is picking up, man. The last 2 years, we've never seen boxing as successful as it is now in our lifetime, I don't think. And now with the fucking insurgence of money from Saudi Arabia, the money going into DAZN, who just got Frank Warren to sign over, you could easily see the PBC eventually is going to be coming over to DAZN. They need to. What else can they do? And once Top Rank's contract with ESPN is done, don't be surprised now that Bob Arum is almost 100 that they also joined DAZN. So boxing is going to be fucking brilliant. Brilliant. Facts, bro. Nightlife is crazy here in Montreal. Yes. French girls, man. French girls. I don't want to demean a whole group of people, but being from Toronto, obviously our perspective towards French Canadian girls was a little different. We felt that they were easy. You think Lakers make playoff this year? Well, the Lakers have as much of a chance to make the playoffs this year as they did last year, because basically they have the same fucking team, right? A lot of it depends on the other teams, because have the Lakers gotten better? Oklahoma got better. Dallas got better. We know Memphis is going to be better. They obviously had a bad year because of injuries and their star player issue. Phoenix is going to be a contender. Sacramento is probably going to be better. Uh, who am I missing? Golden State Warriors. They're probably going to be fighting for the Lakers for that 8th spot. Denver, I don't know if they're going to be better, but they're going to be obviously still in play. Yeah, so, they got a chance. What do you think of Russ at point guard and Murray at shooting guard? Actually, that's what I was thinking yesterday. You bring in Russ and you don't have a shooter, but Murray, his best attribute is his shooting. And now you take the ball handling skills out of his hands so that hopefully he'll be fresher for the playoffs. He won't have to do so much work. You can have Russ be a point of attack defender, which obviously will be better for him and easier for Murray. You still have Porter, fucking what's his face, and the Joker, right? So you got 4 guys that can shoot. I know what's his face isn't the best shooter, but he can consistently hit that corner 3. Porter is a great shooter. Joker, fucking really good shooter. Obviously, Murray is a great shooter as well. But I do think they need to add another shooter at least to the bench. Because that white boy from Kansas, he's a good player, but he needs to shoot better if he really wants to step up. Peyton Watson is a great player off the bench. He also needs to be a little more consistent with his jump shot. They brought in Saric from Golden State, stretch 4. He'll be a good addition to them because obviously now you can play more of a small ball lineup with him, which opens up the field, especially for like a Russ, right? I don't watch NBA. That shit is boring AF. Yeah, I agree with you. Mostly now I watch highlights, right, on YouTube. Really, I come home from work. The games are all on when I'm at work in the morning. So I come home at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I just watch the games on YouTube. They got like little compressed games, and then I get to see everything I need to see until the playoffs, and then I was watching a little more. And actually, Summer League, I tend to watch a little more than the NBA. I like to see the young players because you never know if you'll ever see them again. Turkey Alashika is a hero. I have ambitions to box, but the landscape could look totally different by the time I'm older because of him. Yeah, in a better way, right? More money available, more opportunity, more defined sort of ways that things are done. Obviously, he's trying to build like the ongoing tournament sort of setting within divisions, top 15 players, fighters fighting each other consistently. Obviously, they want to have consistent fights and build up towards superstars. I definitely think he's got to do what I say he should do. Buy out all the sanctioning bodies, throw that shit in the garbage, and keep one and have one fucking champion. What season is it in Taiwan? Summertime. What's the temperature today? I don't know if today's as bad as normal, but let's see. Today is not so hot. 34. All week, 34 to 32. It's not so bad. People complaining it's super hot. In summertime, it can definitely, what is it? Feels like 35. Humidity is making it feel hotter. That's the problem. Taiwan has fucking crazy humidity. America is starting to come together, white and blacks. They're seeing the agenda of the Democrats. Their funds are starting to dwindle and money is louder than propaganda. That's what I've been saying for years, Jason. This is not a fucking real race issue in America. We already fucking overcome that shit, man. Trust me. I've been around. I saw fucking the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and now the 2020s. How do things amp up now in the 20s when shit has been died down for fucking decades, right? Because of the media. Because literally these people that control the media and control the political system that don't want Trump involved, because Trump is not part of the political system. That's why he's a threat. That's why nobody likes him, because he fucking breaks the mold, the system that's in place. They want to have fucking anarchy. They love it. They can start putting more policing. Fucking soon they'll put out, you have to be home by 10 o'clock or you'll be arrested, right? Like, that's why they're creating chaos. So now you can fucking do more drugs, steal more, and there's no problems, which now you're telling people to do it. So then what's going to happen? Boom. You're going to fucking close the gate on that shit and fucking literally turn the country into a police state. Everybody knows that's what's happening. We know all those fucking Costco's in America have already been turned into fucking prisons, right? Just waiting for the opportunity to fill them up. Have you ever trained boxing? In university. My dad would have liked me to do it earlier, but in Toronto, I didn't live in downtown Toronto. I lived on the suburbs. So to go train for boxing, I would have had to go downtown every day after school. I wasn't that interested. I liked boxing as a kid, but I wasn't that interested. I was a basketball player, volleyball player, who never grew as tall as my dad or my uncle, or my uncle's two kids, boys and girls. So unfortunately, I never grew into my sport. I probably would have been better to box. My dad would have loved me to box. But in university, there was a gym down the street from my house, so I trained there for a while. Sorry for the typos. I am not that great at typing. Hey, Jason, I feel you. Yeah, and 34 is not that bad. Generally, this time of year, 35, 36, 37, and humid. Sean, I really wish you would have lines for people to call in. I would love to pick your brain doing boxing. Doing boxing. The typos slow down conversation. This is true. So there's a link, I think. We will see if it works. All the casuals are out in force hating on Loma, calling him a duck now. Well, you knew that was going to happen, right? Dudes fucking that get upset when a black fighter is called a duck now are all out, fucking loving the opportunity to do what? Shit on Lomachenko. Loma is older, but I think he has a good chance to outclass Tank. He doesn't get caught. Well, that's the thing. I think he beats Tank Davis, but Tank Davis is dangerous because literally we know one punch can change everything. Literally one punch, change everything. So if that's the case, you always have a chance to do something. And that's why it's a great fight, because literally anybody could win. I mean, we said the same thing with Ryan Garcia, but we obviously know Tank Davis technically is a much better fighter than Ryan Garcia. You're clicking on it, and what happened? $1968. Jason, you're fucking older than me by a little bit, eh? I was born in 68. Born in 68. As I say, I don't normally put out the link, but it's worked in the past for John Boxing and people. So, if not today, then next time. We will continue to try to perfect all of this. But as we're saying, I'm not trying to hate on Andre Ward, but when we look at Andre Ward's resume and what he's done in his career, it speaks for itself. Or sorry, Canelo Alvarez's resume. Who's this? Azuma Nelson. Fucking that guy left the chat after he exposed himself as a casual because he didn't know who Azuma Nelson was. But here we are, 61, 2-2. And I don't say this to be a dick rider for Canelo Alvarez because anyone who follows my channel knows I'm a Golovkin fan. I literally just said today that yes, Canelo Alvarez did duck and age out Golovkin. He literally dropped his WBC title to avoid a Golovkin fight. But two things can be true. We talk about when he first started getting a lot of attention, right? And it was back when he was fighting on undercards, when he faced Cotto's brother, right? Back in 2010. Cotto's brother at the time, 31-1-1. The kid was 19 years old or something, right? Then he fought this guy who was 26-1. Then he fought Baldemir, an ex-world champion for the WBC silver super featherweight, welterweight title. Baldemir, who gave Zab Judah a loss. Obviously, this is a different version of Baldemir, but this was a 19-year-old kid who's being built up. Lovemore Danew, Matthew Hilton, my Canadian brethren, Ryan Rhodes, English brother, Alfonso Gomez, very good fighter, Kermit Citron, Shane Mosley, a Hall of Famer. Obviously, Mosley was past his best, but at this point, you're trying to build up your name. You're trying to build up your recognition in the sport. So you're fighting ex-world champions. This is the same thing we say people need to do with Abdullah Mason, with Keyshawn Davis, with any of these up-and-comers. This is the kind of level of opponent they need to fight. They need to get these ex-world champions, these veteran fighters who are great additions to a young fighter's resume. Guys that have experience and guys that will help build your name. Then he faced José Lopez. And this time he was fighting obviously on Floyd Mayweather undercards, getting a lot of attention. Then he faced undefeated Austin Trout. Prime versus prime unification fight. Trout coming off of a Cotto win. After that, he did what he should do. Called out Floyd Mayweather because he felt like Floyd Mayweather was using him to sell his pay-per-views. Then he faced Alfredo Angulo. The same Alfredo Angulo who had great fight with fucking Lara. Then he faced Lara. Prime fucking Erislandy Lara. The only loss on his resume, a fucking robbery. Should never have happened. At this point, Erislandy Lara was an undefeated fighter and stylistically really a difficult fighter. Trout, Mayweather, Angulo, Lara. Think about those four fights back to back to back to back. You tell me, is Tank Davis, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson at 23 years of age taking on this level of opponent? Then James Kirkland. People poo-poo on Kirkland now, but at this time, Kirkland was a monster puncher, 32-1. Many people were predicting Kirkland to knock out Canelo Alvarez. Then he faced Miguel Cotto, a fucking legend, right, to become a middleweight champion. And this was a Cotto who was obviously coming off of a victory to Sergio Martinez. Then he faced Amir Khan. Sure, nobody liked this fight as far as the metrics. Amir Khan has name recognition, so they were using it to sell a pay-per-view, not unlike Tank Davis fighting Leo Santa Cruz. There's no difference for Canelo fighting Amir Khan than Tank Davis fighting fucking Leo Santa Cruz. Same fucking scenario. Then he faced Liam Smith, undefeated fighter, in a great fight. I think they sold out 60,000 people stadium in the AT&T in Dallas, Texas for this. It was a huge group. Then, of course, he fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., right? For Americans, they might dismiss and downplay this. But within the Mexican community, this was a fucking big rivalry. Prior to this fight happening, many Mexican fans were pushing Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. as being the best up-and-coming young Mexican fighter in boxing and downplaying Canelo Alvarez, obviously because one had the heritage behind him and one looked Mexican. The other one looked Irish, right? And after that, of course, then we had the Golovkin fight. Then a Golovkin fight. Obviously, you had the PED issue in there, and that was definitely a bad look. But we've seen many people since and at that time get tested for the same drug because of meat they were eating. So there's a rationale behind that. He obviously did a hair follicle test, and it proved that he hadn't been using. You could agree, disagree. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not trying to defend him. Then he moved up from this weight class. Why? Because the IBF fucked him over and didn't allow him to fight for undisputed against Demetrius fucking Andrade. So he jumped out of 160 to 168 and faced Rocky Fielding. Then he faced Danny Jacobs, who had given Golovkin a great fight. Some people even believe Danny Jacobs beat Golovkin. Then he jumped up 2 weight divisions to fight world champion Sergey Kovalev. People say that Sergey Kovalev was shot, finished, and this and that. But let's be completely honest, right? This was a guy who got beaten by Alvarez, an undefeated fighter, knocked out, came back and beat the same Alvarez to win back his title, and then fought Anthony Yarde, knocking him out, 2 undefeated fighters back to back before fighting Canelo Alvarez, the guy that came up literally from 160 fucking pounds. Since then, obviously, he beat Pulev's brother, and then just recently lost to this undefeated Robin Saffer fighter at cruiserweight. Then faced Callum Smith, Yildirim, Saunders, and Plant to become undisputed at 168. 1, 2, 3 undefeated world champions, basically back to back to back, with, of course, Yildirim thrown in there. And yes, Yildirim was a bad look, but Yildirim was fucking literally David Benavidez's mandatory. If David Benavidez wouldn't have been too fat on the scale, he would have been the fighter that fought Yildirim, and everybody would have been okay with it and wouldn't have said shit. Then he moved up and took on undefeated light heavyweight, prime fucking fighter, Dimitri Bivol, and got beat. But yet Andre Ward wants to talk about how he's cherry-picking opponents, fighting guys that are old, right? Yet he's taken on legitimate fighters and took losses because of it. Then faced an old version of Golovkin, then faced a mandatory in John Ryder, then faced Charlo. This is the same Charlo, along with his brother, along with Demetrius Andrade, that literally Canelo haters have been pushing for Canelo Alvarez to fight for years. This was the same Charlo that literally 2 weeks before the contract was signed were putting top 5 pound for pound. Literally, people were putting Charlo above Canelo Alvarez on their pound for pound lists, right? But like Caleb Plant, of course, when he signed the contract to fight Canelo, all of a sudden the excuses started to come out. They weren't so confident. And then, of course, prime Jaime Munguia in his last fight, undefeated, 43-0 fighter, coming off of a very good victory in his last fight. And now people are crying because maybe he's going to fight Chris Eubank next. Whatever. My scenario was if he was to go to the UK and fight Chris Eubank, makes tons of sense. It's smart. It's going to build up a whole nother market in the UK. He's talked about wanting to go to the UK. This is the perfect opportunity. Perfect. But if it's in the States, it doesn't make sense. He might as well fight Berlanga. Where are we? So Canelo is a better fighter than Andre Ward. He would flatten him right now. Andre Ward just looking for Canelo payday. Canelo resume is deep. Ward, sorry, is generic. Bernard, same style, but the difference is Bernard knew how to use his head literally and had the punch and grab technique down to a science. I wonder if Jake's using steroids. Oh, yes, he is. Yeah, I remember Zab lost to Baldomir and Floyd fought Zab right after. 10 seconds, Mike Perry fight. He broke his rib and right hook. That shows Jake's power. I guess it can be chalked up to 20-pound weight difference. I personally don't believe Canelo ever beat a legitimate prime A-level fighter without controversy. What was the controversy in the Austin Trout fight? What was the controversy in the Jaime Munguia fight? What was the controversy in the Lara fight? I already made a video redoing that. Like, I understand people hate Canelo, but Lara threw that fight away in the second half of the fight, giving the fight away. Literally, he gave the fight away. There's no controversy. He fucking lost. Was it competitive? Sure. But when you fight great fighters, you're going to be in competitive fights. That's not a fucking shock or surprise. Jacobs, what was the controversy there? Caleb Plant, Saunders, Callum Smith, what was the controversy there? In reality, 90% of boxers has dabbled in steroids. They pick and choose who they want to test. They also pick and choose what they want to find. Floyd was the perfect example. Exactly. Sean Canelo put rehydration clauses on Fielding, Jacobs, and Kovalev. Yeah, and nobody gave him any credit for Fielding. Jacobs was the same guy that fucking used weight against Golovkin and fucking dropped the IBF title, which was his title, so that he could come in overweight for the Golovkin fight. So fucking fair is fair, right? And of course, Kovalev's a light fucking heavyweight. He jumped up 2 weight divisions to fight the guy. Floyd only beat 3 undefeated fighters in 50 fights. Pound for pound, that's crazy. I don't know that. Freddie Roach picked Charlo to beat Canelo. I don't know what he was thinking. I know you would think it's a higher number. I'm surprised Floyd only fought 3 undefeated fighters. But at the same time, the same thing Andre Ward is accusing Canelo Alvarez of doing, you could equally say the same thing about Floyd Mayweather, right? Let's put that to the test. Let's see how many of these fighters Floyd fought were no longer in their prime. Floyd. So first big fights, we jump up, and the first big win on his resume was Gennaro Hernandez. Gennaro Hernandez, who had beaten Azuma Nelson 38-1-1, literally retired after this fight. So yeah, he picked an old Gennaro Hernandez who was close to retirement. Angel Manfredi never did anything after this. Emmanuel Augustus was never anybody. Diego, okay, yes, prime, more or less. Castillo, I don't know if you could say prime, but okay. Cordy, Brussels, Gatti was older at this point of his career and out of, was never elite. Mitchell, Judah was coming off of a loss. De La Hoya was older. Still a great victory, but it was also a split decision, and they could have rematched. Hatton, he pulled up in weight. Marquez pulled up 2 weight divisions. Mosley was old. This wasn't the Mosley he could have fought when they were both at 147 prior to his 2-year layoff, or fighting him at lightweight when Mosley was literally at his best. Ortiz, mental case. Miguel Cotto, old. If he was old for fucking Canelo, he was old for Floyd. Robert Guerrero, bum. Saul Canelo Alvarez, young. Marcos Maidana, he literally got beat by fucking Amir Khan. So we're going to criticize Canelo for fighting Amir Khan, but then we're going to praise Floyd for fighting Marcos Maidana? Manny Pacquiao already had just been knocked out by Juan Manuel Marquez, literally fucking flatlined in that fight. Unconscious. And then Floyd fights him. Berto, fucking old. Conor McGregor, bum. Not a fucking fighter, not a boxer. So, we can throw out the same kind of fucking narrative towards Floyd Mayweather. We got Canelo versus GG sooner than Floyd versus Pacquiao. That's a fact. He praises Floyd. Of course he praises Floyd because Floyd's black, right? Andre Ward is like the same conversation we had this whole fucking live. He's one of these brothers that fucking respects brothers but disrespects everybody else. Tank overbid himself knowing that Loma has been paid on the low side. Loma is at the end of his career and would love to have justified a payday. I think that's exactly what happened. I literally think when they went to sign the contract, they came out with this new kind of fucking stuff, last minute type of stuff, Loma flew literally from the Ukraine to sign the contract, which obviously they pretty much would have had set up by that time. You're not going to fly out to negotiate. That's what your team's been doing. You're flying out to fucking sign the contract that's already been negotiated to. You fly out to sign out, and then you walk away and say you're going to take the year off. What does that tell you about negotiations? Loma also knows that if he fought Tank and it went to decision, it would have been the same outcome as Haney. Loma could win every round and they would still give it to Tank. Yeah, because you know Tank was pushing for 3 fucking American judges in Vegas. Right? And you know the expression, shame on you once, shame on me twice, right? Like, if Loma fucking is going to get done over again the same way he got done over for Haney, then it would be all his fault. The first time you could just say, fuck, I was robbed. This was terrible. The second time, it's like Andre Ward fighting Fury in the exact same scenario and expecting a different outcome. Crying fucking all this bullshit in the second fight, only to push for a third fight that's identical. And then, you know, no longer have the excuse because you got your fucking second time around and it fucking played out the same. If Brian Castano retires, it's been over 2 years since his last fight. Still thought he was robbed in the first Mello fight and had a draw with Lara. I agree. Floyd could have went undisputed at 147. He needed to face Kell Brook for the IBF. Right? That's the thing. You know, boxing has really come around now from the days of Pacquiao, De La Hoya, and Mayweather, where jumping through divisions, picking and choosing the weakest champion to win a title was the thing to do, right? Now dudes are literally fucking beating all the champions to become undisputed. That's what we would have loved to see Pacquiao, Floyd, and Oscar do. Oscar did it a little more than Pacquiao and Floyd did, but nonetheless. Tank versus Loma is a bigger financial fight, but not a better fight than with Shakur. I think at this point, it's marginal about how much more financially it would be. With all the back and forth and the social media stuff that Shakur Stevenson has been kicking up recently, his name is far more relevant than Lomachenko right now. Lomachenko's legacy is obviously better, but that doesn't necessarily sell a pay-per-view. If you want people, casuals to buy a fight, Shakur's been all over social media. So probably right now, it's marginal. I think you fight Loma, you fight Shakur, you're going to do well over 500,000 pay-per-view buys, regardless of who you fight. Do you want to see Benavidez versus Janibek? I would be happy with that fight. I'd be happy to see Benavidez fight anybody. I'd be happy for Janibek to fight somebody. I think Janibek should go to 168, but I understand that he probably ain't interested in moving up and taking on this kind of opponent. But, you know, that's to his own fucking own demise, because you can continue to fight no name, no hopers at 160 to defend titles, make no money, and not get big fights. Or if you could fight David Benavidez, fight him, beat him. If you beat him, now you're in a whole nother tax bracket. Janibek fights at 160. If he moved up, he should at least 3 fights before Benavidez. Why 3 fights before Benavidez? Why? If the Benavidez is on the table, take the Benavidez fight. I looked up Loma's net worth. He's only worth $8 million. I looked at it, said 10. Yet fought more champions than any other guy at 130, 135. Loma has always taken the low side of the bids. That's true. He's not motivated by money. I think Turkey will revive the middleweight division with Hamza Shiraz. Me too. Obviously, that's why I think Janibek would be better off staying there, because you got Shiraz money for Saudi Arabia potentially there. And then he would easily potentially make the fight with Carlos Adames as well, right? Exactly, his name would blow up. Right now, if he was to fight Benavidez, he would get way more publicity than he would to fight Adames, Shiraz. The only fighter he could fight that would give him more name recognition would be Canelo. But that fight ain't going to happen. So, you know, if the reality is David Benavidez is interested in pulling him up to fight him because he's not a hard puncher, he should do it. As I said yesterday, if you want to make money, you need to risk money, right? And this is his risk. You take a risk now, it benefits you later, unless you don't feel confident that you can win. And if that's the case, then continue to be a fucking no-hoper that nobody talks about and nobody recognizes in the sport of boxing, like many people that have come before you. But people, we've been on for over 2 hours. Thanks very much. I think I'm going to kick this time off. What are your criteria for best boxers, fighters of all time? I would have to say accomplishments, resume, quality of victory, and the way you bounce back from fucking losses. And bouncing back from losses is important. Only since Floyd Mayweather do we like revere fucking undefeated, right? The reality of the situation is, if you're undefeated, it means you probably weren't fighting the best fighters. But later, everybody, thanks very much for jumping in. I will see you next time. I'm off for this week and next week, so chances are I'm probably going to be going live a little more than normal because I got time on my hands. Peace out. Enjoy your week.